Hello and welcome to episode 3 of 7 Days to Die Mod Edit Video Tutorials. I am your host and the creator of the application, Wrath Maniac. This episode is going to be focused on a brief overview of the application. Last episode, I got you started with the application with a fresh install, a fresh folder. There was nothing but the application, and I showed you how to get started and load a mod and load in your game XML configuration files. So now that you have your application up and running, what can you do with it? And that's what this episode is going to be all about. So let's get started. Now, I kind of briefly gave you a little bit of an overview about the mod info XML and the localization here. So if you're not familiar with 7 Days to Die mods, then these things are going to be a little confusing for you, but keep in mind that these tools do exist. So we know that they're there and we can use them in the future. Even if you're not very familiar with the mods yet, you will come across, most likely you'll come across situations where you'll need to edit the localization, and you will certainly need to create a mod info XML for your mod. So the only other tool that I want to bring to your attention would be the validate mod files option tool here. So this is a very useful tool that allows you to run an XML validation onto all of the files that exist within the currently selected mod here. So if we click that, it will actually pop up a little window telling me that some information on the validity of each of the XML files for the currently selected mod. So if there were any of these XML files that had issues with just XML structure, then that tool would tell us that there is a problem in that file. And something useful to know as well is that if you were to open one of these files directly, and you were to, let's say, add an append tag, but you forgot to close your tag, right? That's an XML validation issue. So if I try to save, it will actually automatically run XML validation. And if the XML is not valid, it will tell you right away. And better yet, it tells you with an error message at what the actual problem is. It's not perfect, but it does give you a general idea of what's going on and why the XML is not valid. If you ever receive one of these errors or your XML isn't valid, then of course 7 Days to Die will crash when you're trying to add your mod because the XML cannot be read. So this is a very useful feature of the application, and it has saved me headache on a number of occasions. So we're going to go ahead and save that guy with bad XML, come back out here to tools and run the validate it, and you can see even here it's going to tell us there is an XML issue with that file. So we can go ahead and open it up again and go ahead and fix our issue if we remember. I even have that tool here. If I forgot what it was, it'll just pop it up, give me the error message. Line 3, position 2 does not match the end tag. Okay, great. It's this guy right here, line 3. So if I hit Control D, boom, it deletes the line. I can save it. No error message pops up, which means we have valid XML. Fantastic. The other thing that I want to bring to your attention in this overview is just the settings here. So there isn't much to these settings. I'm going to go ahead and click this check all settings. These are just a couple of little toggle switches. So there is the ability to, when you save or make changes to your files, it will auto move all of your files to a directory that you set. As you can see here, there is an auto move directory, which is not set. So we will go ahead and set that right now. And there is also the auto move status or the right timestamp on save. So you can have it so that when you save XML that is generated by the application, it puts a timestamp in a comment in the XML file automatically. And it gives you a little info on the mod tag. So that was useful for in previous versions, not really super necessary anymore. Now we have these other two, so as you can see, auto move and the auto move directory. So we could try to turn on the auto move feature. When activated on saving, the application automatically moves all files to the auto move folder chosen. Okay, so let's turn that on. Well, of course, in order for this to work, we must have the auto move directory set. So we should do that right now. Now for this, I usually use the actual mods folder in the 7 Days to Die game directory, but you can really put this in any old folder that you want. This is the folder that is going to be used when clicking Stage All, or if you have the auto move feature as we have just set up. So at this point, you may be asking yourself what the Stage All even does, or what the auto move directory even does. It's pretty simple. So for the current selected mod, we have all these files and the folder structure for that mod, of course. And what Stage All does is it just takes the mod that you have selected here and moves it over to the directory that we just set up. So in this case, that was, of course, the mods folder for the game. And so that's really useful if I'm working on a mod and I want to really quickly just make a quick change to one of these files, for instance. Maybe I had a quick error in there, I just open it up. Maybe I had an error with the name, I change the name, close the file, click Stage All, and I can switch back over to the game and start it back up and check to see if my mod is working. So the other little tools that you should know about are just some of these little buttons. And remember, if you're ever curious on what something does, it's good to just hover it, and there should be a little message there that kind of gives you a little hint at what it does. Some of the other little things that I'm going to go over right now are, as you just saw, we have the open mods folder. There's this reload mods button. This is useful for refreshing the app when making external changes. If you do make external changes and things are not updating in the app, just click that button real quick, and that'll guarantee that the app is fully up to date with all of the mods. You don't have to switch to a particular mod to update the application. That will actually reload all the mods in the output folder. Another thing that's useful is you can click this unlock button and we can type in here, and that allows us to select mods easier and find them easier when we have a long list of mods. Not very necessary when we don't have a lot of mods. There is this funny button right here which doesn't really do much of anything. It just tells you how to delete the mod from the application if you would like to. So it's actually just a little dummy button that tells you what to do. Now this button, on the other hand, will delete the file, so you do want to be careful when using that button, but it does give you the appropriate pop-up commands, the appropriate prompts, so it doesn't just delete the file by accident. Are you absolutely sure you want to delete this file? This cannot be undone. So I make sure that you know that this does not go to the recycling bin. That file completely disappears. So you want to be sure, if you're using the application to delete your file, you want to be sure you want to delete that file. So it's good to know that all of these things are there when you're creating your mods. There's still a few more episodes to come to go over the object views over here and the search tree views, which kind of harness the power of the object views in a lot of ways too. So feel free to leave your comments. Let me know what you think, and good luck with your mods.